Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at gcnlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Here we go. Your dial's set correctly to USAPrepares.com. We're delighted you're here in class today with us. We broadcast 2 hours from high atop the Missouri Ozark Mountains. If you'd like to call us, 866-582-9933, 866-582-9933. Listen line, 605-477-3249, 605-477-3249. Nathan's engineering the broadcast. Dr. Richard Allen Miller is with us. Welcome, Doc Ram.
Good morning. Good morning. I don't know what else to say today.
Rick, I was during the lead into the broadcast, I was chatting with our engineer, Nathan, and I was telling him this story about this farm implement I bought yesterday, and I wanted to share that with you. And there's a reason why I want to talk about this. It's symptomatic. It's indicative of what has happened and what is happening here in this country. And here's what it is. So I was on the internet and I was looking around and I happened to stumble across a guy who was selling a saw, S-A-W. And this is an old saw. Originally it came out in 1946, possibly 1947, by the Ford Tractor Company or the Ford Motor Company, the tractor division of Ford. And it was designed to run on the back of one of their cast iron type tractors, an 8N. 8 and the letter N, and it's a belt-driven saw with a 24-inch blade. This thing weighs 500 pounds or so, I'm estimating, because it was pretty hard getting it on the truck, and it's going to take a tractor to get it off the back of the pickup truck after the broadcast. But this saw is one that you could put a log on, 8-inch, 10-inch log, maybe even 12-inch, well, almost 12-inch, maybe 10-inch, and you can saw up a log with this. The reason I bought this is because it was $200. That's what the asking price was. And I can cut logs in the field. I can drive the tractor out, cut logs up in it with it, and put them on a trailer and put them in the fire. So we can cut trees that have fallen, that are already dead. We can cut them up and use them as firewood. Now, the price of a chain for our Husqvarna chainsaw, you take the price of maybe 3 or 4 good chains and a bar, would cost the price of this entire saw. The saw came with a gearbox, belt, blade, everything you need. And it works. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants this saw. Now, here's the point of all this. Number one, sawing wood's hard work, and who the heck wants to do that? That's number one. 2, are we thinking in the long term, like, what do we do if we don't have gasoline for our chainsaws? And the 2-cycle oil mix that goes with our chainsaws, and the spare parts that go with our chainsaws. Now, chainsaws are really good, and we have to have them here at the farm. Have to. No question about it. They're tools that we use. However, any of our chainsaws will not last as long as this Ford saw. There's no question about it. And the Ford saw will run off the diesel engine of the tractor. So if we have a few gallons of diesel, we could cut a lot of wood. And there's no oil for the bar. You don't oil the blade of this 24-inch saw. So there's several points that come out of this, Rick. Number one, where is all of this great mechanical engineering that we used to have in the 1900s, the early 1900s, from the Industrial Revolution? What happened to our way of thinking? How come our schools are not teaching mechanical engineering at the high school levels, where we
Why
get
aren't
young
they
people
teaching shop at the high school level anymore?
There you go. That's exactly the line of thought that I'm thinking.
That one came from Julie, by the way. But like, what is a windowsill? Julie handed me this cup after listening to the questions we were going to talk about, and she said, "Here, go put this on the windowsill." And a kid will come back and say, "I didn't know where you wanted me to put it. Where?" Because they don't know what a crown molding means. What is a crown molding in a house?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, crown molding is the molding that goes at the intersection of the ceiling and the wall, and typically it's on average it would be on a 45-degree angle, so that
how come a child that's 18 years old has no idea what crown molding? What is the molding that's in the center of the wall that runs?
That'd be chair. That's chair rail molding.
And then the bottom.
That would be
down on the floor.
Well, here in Missouri, it's called.
Where we're going with this? They're terms that are no longer used in normal families, like picnic, going for a Sunday picnic.
And by the way, Rick,
the family has never gone for a picnic. The child has no idea what that word means, and that's how society is changing from one subset to another in concepts.
The molding, and in Missouri we have some interesting terms for things. You might call it something else on the East Coast or the West Coast, but here, that molding that goes along the perimeter of the room in the floor is called mop board, M-O-P. As if you're going to use a wet mop on the wooden floor, and when the mop slings against the wall, instead of it destroying the plaster or the sheetrock or whatever the wall may be made of, it's protected by mop board. Typically, it's a 6-inch board. Maybe it's trimmed, with some kind of style. Maybe it's just a piece of, 1 by 6 board. But that's what they call it here. That's not called that
those
other
are the
places.
kinds of terms one would normally, in the past, have learned from shop in high school. That was a required. When I went to high school, it was a required, like PE. You had to take shop. Now, they don't even offer it, much less have it be required.
Well, yeah, and I know a young guy. He's in his 20s, and he went to Lowe's to buy some molding for his floor. We'll call it mop board. But he didn't buy a mop board. He bought something with a little more style in it. So he went to Lowe's, bought some, and started putting it up, and then he went back to get some more, and he bought it from the same rack. And what happened was, it was whoever put the molding back put back different sizes in the wrong, slightly different, maybe an inch long, an inch wider. So now in the middle of his floor, in the middle of the room, I should say, he's got two different size moldings coming together.
Yeah.
And he can't fix it. He can't fix it.
It's the way people are today. They're different than when we were in school, and they teach it differently. Mathematics and the new math, as opposed to the original forms that I studied. It's got pluses and minuses. And for as far as I can tell, I'm very grateful for what I ended up having exposed to, compared to what I would not want to be a child today.
Interesting.
I just wouldn't want to have to go through what I went through when I was in high school. This century's high school requirements, the concepts of bully, the concepts of class or friends, groups. I don't know what they cliques. I don't know what they call them today. The idea of herds and the way everybody herds with each other rather than individually walking. I don't understand the social, tribal concepts of what is emerging in our society today in comparison. We are in a state of transition, and as far as I'm concerned, It's like de-evolution in many, many ways, in my way of seeing things. I'm certain that the kids are very happy to be able to text. I personally do not use Skype that way. That's what people use Skype for now, texting each other. You know, quick flips of a comment. And I might have, if I load Skype to do a radio, I will have 20 Skype flips waiting for me. Where, have you seen this? Da-da-da-da-da. That used to be email. This is now Skype. And Skype, I don't know, man. I only turn Skype on when I'm going to use it. I don't have it on as a part of a way to communicate to me like people do their smartphones. The smartphones, by the way, are toxic. And it's one of the reasons I don't carry one. I have a track phone, a disposable, just like in the movies. It's it's a new world, and I'm not sure I belong in this form of it. I don't mind the technology, but the advancements, like you said, about mechanical and artistic advancements, I don't see any of that anymore.
Well, I'm very concerned about that because our children don't know how to estimate. I really mean that. They don't know how far things are. They don't know how long things are. They don't know how heavy things are. They don't know how much things cost. They don't know how long things take. And they're looking down all the time at their phones, ready to walk into, any obstacle in front of them, like fire hydrants. Now, I read an article yesterday, and it was quite disturbing to me on many levels. And it's about the police. What they're doing is the police are renting vehicles. They're going to, car rental companies. They are renting all different kinds of plain vehicles, SUVs, plain vehicles. And what they're doing is they're putting two guys in plain clothes in these rented vehicles. So they might rent them for a day or two. And they ride around. And the plan is that these guys are the spotters. These two cops in plain uniforms are the spotters. They're riding around in pairs. One guy's at the wheel, the other guy's looking around, and he's radioing the radio car, saying, hey, there's a guy distracted driving. Go pull him over. He's in the blue Ford, whatever. That's the kind of stuff that's going on now. Because, I think it's wrong for people to drive distracted and operate vehicles distracted. But I think it's also wrong to snipe. Doc Graham's with us, Dr. Richard Allen Miller. Rick, the article that I'm talking about is from the Detroit Free Press. And it says, Michigan State Police Captain Monica Yesh says that she's seen motorists doing just about everything behind the wheel, including a woman eating a bowl of cereal while steering the car with her knees. Just today, two of her troopers, they're her troopers. I don't think they're her troopers, but that's what it says. Were late to a news conference about distracted driving initiative because they stopped a woman who was putting on makeup while driving on a road, first using the compact, then the eyebrow pencil. So what they're saying is the drivers of vehicles are more distracted than ever, and I believe that. I absolutely believe it. People are changing lanes, holding the phone with their left hand on their right ear, steering with their right hand. I mean, doing all kinds of things in these vehicles, and it's dangerous. But what the police are doing now is they are putting what they're calling these ghost riders. These ghost riders are people who are paid law enforcement officers, cops, and they are in unmarked vehicles riding around in rented vehicles looking for distracted drivers. And what they're going to do is they're going to ticket with massive fines those who they believe are driving carelessly. Now, here's what I saw yesterday. I was on the Interstate 44 coming back toward the farm from the Springfield village, and the interstate was blocked. Absolutely nobody's going anywhere. Tractor trailers were all stuck. What happened was there was a crash. Just a couple of vehicles, and one of them was absolutely demolished. And why? Because there's no place to go. The federal government on the interstates has been involved in putting these cheese graters up so that if you are ready to crash into something that's in front of you, let's say something flies out of a truck in front of you, an unsecured load, or someone loses control, and you're going to crash into them and you want to get out of the way, you can't. You cannot get out of the way because they have these cheese graters, these cables, these aircraft cables that will force you right into that crash. You are going to crash into whatever's in front of you if you can't stop in time. There's no going left. There's no going right. There's no way to do it. There's no way out because it's engineered to get you killed. And that's probably what happened yesterday. Massive crash. Just a couple of vehicles, but it was really, really serious because there's no place to go. Bottom line is we cannot tolerate this distracted driving. We cannot tolerate unsecured loads. We cannot tolerate people who are reckless in their lives who put the rest of us in danger. However, I don't think that the answer is sneaking around, having more cops sneaking around, because that's turning them into the individuals that they probably are on the inside. People who like prying into other people's lives, and then we give them a gun and a badge or a gun and a shield and let them do that kind of stuff. I guess the word is shield. They're shielded from us retaliating against them. I guess that's why they call it a shield.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, I have another thing I'd like to talk about that is bothering me. I didn't mention it, but I will, regarding artificial intelligence and what's happening to me personally. Of course, we mentioned the artificial intelligence this morning regarding what happened to 400 Palestinians that were arrested by Israeli 2 days ago. It was not yesterday. 2 days ago for future crimes, just like in the movies. Minority Report. They are now using artificial intelligence as a way to determine whether or not if someone is about to or will eventually commit a crime. And they're accurate. And there is no way to hide from that because this computer knows what you're going to do before even you do. Hasn't crossed your mind yet to drive carelessly, but the computer knows you will because you woke up 2 minutes late. That kind of thing. And that means that the officer no longer has to spy on you. It knocks on your door and arrests you before you get in your car. That's what happened 2 days ago in Palestine. Now, this is our future, and it's being run by machines, just like in, what is it, not the Predator one, the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where there's battling machines taking over our lives, trying to control man. It is a future that is happening with such things as transhumanism as a way that we will be able to go into space and mine asteroids that have resources that we can't get to.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back. Doc Graham's with us, Dr. Richard Allen Miller, DocRam.com, if you'd like to peruse some of the offerings that he has available for you to purchase, some of the many, many volumes. Rick, do you have any specials that we need to know about?
That's what I wanted to talk about. There's something unusual going on the internet. I cannot put my finger on it. And if I can't figure it out, what does that suggest? I'm at a complete loss. I can give you some examples of what's wrong with my specials, what's happening. Okay, so the specials that I put on were to combat Amazon, and they're not, they're bootlegging my titles. And so I put specials on that they can't meet. There's no possible way they can do that, or I'm giving away my books. What happened next was that I got a whole bunch of orders, but they were from international sales, not regional or U.S. That means that I was losing money beyond measure because I never sold books where I would sell 9 books to Singapore in one bunch. And that would cost me $68 that would on postage, and I'm only charging $25. That meant I had to change my internet accounting widget that would calculate. It just goes on and on. No matter what I do, I've already, something, more likely, has figured out what I'm going to do next and has already set up a thing where I can't win. As this moment, I have not had a book sale on either my internet website or Amazon in more than 2 weeks. How does that work? I have never, even before I did radio, not had this low a sale. I can't explain it other than my firewall is turned off. Well, who turned that off? Who didn't turn it on? I don't know. It's always, I can't quite figure it. The U.S. Postal Service, in 1 week, I had 5 different international sales that were lost in 1 week. That's impossible. And yet it happened. One of which is New Zealand. I have an order right now that's domestic. This is my 3rd time I'm going to send it because I do tracking, and the tracking widget on the internet is not working at this moment. So I have no idea what happened to that order. I remember packing it last week. It's lost. A 2nd time. I sent my grandson a package several days ago. The post office came back and said, this is wrong address. It's not a wrong address. It's a right address. The post office said it's wrong. And because it got sent back to me, and I said, well, try to resend it. And then what they did is came back to me and said, it's not a book rate. It had a business card in it to my grandson, and that makes it advertising, and so it doesn't go book rate. And they're bringing it back today. This is like a week of that. That happened. They opened my package for no reason to see what was inside it. And what I'd sent them were books, and I put a business card inside one of them. And because I put my business card in, it's no longer, I'm being harassed on every single thing I do, in every way I do it. From telephone calls, I had no internet or telephones for 1 solid week. And that dropped my sales down because I couldn't address them. And then when I finally figured out a way to do it, then I started having international problems. It's like something, not someone, something out there is outthinking me, and no matter what I do, I'm to the point where I'm destitute. Literally have no idea why me. Why am I a person of interest? What is it that I'm doing that's wrong? And then I read about the Palestinians, 400 of them, being arrested for future crimes. I am telling you, something is wrong in Guacamora. And I can't put my finger on it. I cannot identify. Everything is coincidental. Okay, that's fine. And coincidences sometimes overlap. That's interesting. But when it goes beyond code, and that's what I was used by the military. I see things people can't because I read code. And I'm telling you, the coincidences are beyond statistical probability, which means something else is going on. Parallel universes and timelines. There's something else going on here I cannot put my finger on, but it is evil. And when I say evil, not human. That's what I define as evil. Because humans have good, bad, and ugly. And for myself, as you know me, I don't truly make judgment on another person. I try not to do that as part of my path working or way of being. And there is something that is, absolutely stopping me at every single point. And it's so distracting. For example, I go out to take my garbage down in my truck because I have about a quarter of a mile drive. And my truck is flat. I haven't used my truck in 2 days. It is flat dead. The battery, brand new battery, is dead. Why? I look up and my lights were turned on. I didn't do that. What's going on? How does that work? Am I losing my mind? Yes. I'm getting old and distracted? Yeah. But my mind is fairly clear enough that I'm saying that something isn't right, and I don't know what it is. And most of it has to do with my use of internet. Now, it's true that the internet is no longer handled by the United States. It's been given to, the international things with things like DOS attacks. Yesterday, in moving, I have a new security system that tells me when someone's logging into my account. because I thought somebody was stealing my orders. And guess what? There's a whole bunch of login attempts, and that's supposedly, according to several different friends, natural with the thing. But I've never encountered that before. Is that just not take it personal? Is that just I don't think so. I don't know why, but I don't think so. I can tell you that I think that my home is bugged, and I was about to buy a sweeper so that I could have a peace of mind and not be just paranoid. And guess what? The $200 had to be used on an event that should have cost $200. I'm now up to $500. I don't have that money, and I'm having to do it to move forward rather than fall behind. And it's ever so pressing in so many areas. I feel that I'm under attack by something. The police, the locals, the crime. I got charged with something that has nothing to do with me. It's another person. And I went to 2 different lawyers, and they both, without comment, said they can't help me after they investigated. What does that suggest? There's a local crime unit by the police locally that are running dogs. And I can tell you, they dogfighting. And I had a good friend, it was law enforcement that came on. The whole thing is nuts here. And I am in a universe that is not fixable. It has gone beyond being fixed. And I'm going to tell you that I think I know what's about to happen. I don't know, but I think there is going to be a change in everything real quick-like, because the red and blue Kachina sound to me like the red shift of something going through our solar system so quickly there is no warning. And I don't know, but I've got friends at JPL. I'm going to tell you, it's crazy. I'm being driven insane. And why me? What am I doing that's so wrong?
Okay,
I don't know. I can tell you when I was writing on fullerenes, I didn't know I was writing about a new trigger that Carnegie Mellon did not want out, and they took 2 different computer people of mine. I busted them in my house there's something going on here that I don't understand. I don't even know who my friends are anymore.
Well, you know who one of them is.
What's that?
You know who one of them is. Me.
Yes, I know. But yes, with all my heart, I trust my girlfriend, I trust my friends, and yet there now, unfortunately, is I have in a survival mode. That's IQ. I don't know what to think.
Rick,
I don't know what to think anymore.
I'll tell you what one of the small problems is. One of the small problems is we have inadvertently placed trust in the blue team, the blue plague. We have looked at them as they are to come to help us in time of need.
Serve and protect.
And that's not the case. As a matter of fact, right now there are articles on the there are articles on the internet talking about police have a bigger domestic abuse problem than the NFL does. The police have between 2 and 4 times more incidents of abuse of their family members than
domestic abuse. Yeah.
Yes. Now, why is that? Because they're taught, okay, listen, you guys have to come home safely. So, if there's a question whether you're going to get hurt or you're going to shoot the other guy, well, you just shoot the other guy. Okay. We'll stand behind you. We're the blue glue. We're going to, we're not going to let you get convicted of murder. So just, if there's just the slightest doubt that you might be injured, just shoot the other guy. That's the kind of mentality we have. And, when you get pulled over by the cops and they go, license and registration, you go, what's up? That's when they want to yank you out of the car because you're disrespecting them, at least in their opinion. They think that they are owed respect. These are people who have guns, are willing to put them right in your face and squeeze the trigger. There was a video I was watching last night, and it's in California. There was this motorcycle guy who's going, allegedly he was going too fast, and he probably was, through the city. The police chase, I'm looking at the dash cam speed, 99 miles an hour through the city streets. 99 miles an hour. What does the cop end up doing? Rams the motorcycle, and the motorcyclist gets killed. Really? Is that abuse of power? That cop should be arrested and tried for murder. We'll be right back. The story I'm telling you about, the freethoughtproject.com, and Somerville, South Carolina, horrifying police dash cam was released from a fatal accident showing Berkeley County Deputy James Vincent ramming a motorcycle twice with his cruiser. The strikes caused the motorcyclist, 30-year-old Robert Lee Clark Jr. of Goose Creek, to crash. He was killed immediately. The Berkeley County Sheriff's Office posted a video on the YouTube page on Thursday showing the video lasted about 5 minutes in Somerville, South Carolina. The chase reached speeds of at least 111 miles per hour. And it was all initiated over a minor speeding charge. The pursuit began when Van Sant saw Clark going 66 miles per hour on his motorcycle in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. 66 and a 45. Now, obviously, that's speeding, okay? But this chase lasts 8 miles, with the cop ramming the back of the motorcycle. And according to the article, at speeds of around 90 miles an hour. Now, class, have you ever gotten bumper to bumper with another car at 90 miles an hour? Have you ever done that? Would you even consider doing that? Do you think that you might not get arrested if a cop sees you bumper to bumper at 90 miles an hour? Do you think that'd be possible to not be in jail? That's what this cop did. Not only did he get right on the tail of this motorcycle, he rammed him, caused him to crash.
It was acceptable.
Well, I'm sure that this is going to be touted as well. You know, that's our policy. That's what we do. You know, this is normal procedure. So when someone's, I'll tell you, it's murder. Rick. What I'm saying is this is absolutely wrong. Now, I was talking with Mrs. Finelli in the kitchen when I was reading this article, and I said, you know, in a situation like that, there should be no pursuit. Absolutely no pursuit, because everyone nearby, in front of, alongside, is in danger of being killed in a pursuit like this. There's no reason for this. And it seems like cops are really interested in bank robberies. I mean, if someone steals $3,000 from you or me, that's no big deal. There's going to be no pursuit. But if there's a bank robbery and there's $3,000 involved, now that's a big deal. That's a big deal. The cops will go nuts over that. And it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong, because what's so important about money? Really, what's so important about the bank's money? It's insured anyway. Rick, one of the things that's happening,
I understand. There's something wrong with everything now. I can't put my finger on it.
All right, well, let's talk about. All right, well, let's connect this other dot. Military super soldiers. So now we've got police in body armor. Instead
of ESP and thinking with the gut, the term today is Spidey. You know, Spider-Man, Spidey sense. And I'm telling you, this is all based on work that I did 45 years ago. And I'm watching it come to fruition on the work I did. And now, for whatever reason, I'm a sweet old man, I'm laid back, and yet I am a person of interest. I can tell you, they're all over me. And I'm not doing anything. Friends that are, Rick, I know everybody at the post office. Why would they open the postmaster, the one that delivers my package, personally called me to tell me what happened. And she said they previously opened my box. Why? To my grandson. To see what I was sending my grandson, they opened my box, and that's why it came back to me, and they came in with it had the wrong zip code. That's why they felt to open it, to look to see what was in it. And these are all people I've grown up and known for 30 years at the post office are doing that to me. And they're my friends. Enough that the person that delivers the rural mail out here, she comes to my door, we'll talk. She called me last night to tell me that she had to return the box, or did I want to pick it up so I can repack it to my grandson. And the reason it was wrong is they said it had a wrong zip code. It did not. And they opened my package, and that's when it got brought back to me because it wasn't book rate, which was full of books.
Yeah, Rick.
Business card in it. My grandson, and I sent him
Rick,
a bunch of.
Can you
books.
imagine? We've got people who feel it's their responsibility to snoop in on every part of our lives, including the post office. Rick and I will be right back after top of the hour news and commercial announcements. Ozone and Oxygen Starvation coming up next. Everyone all set, cocked, locked. Hour number 2 of USAPrepares.com. Doc Rams with us, Dr. Richard Allen Miller. Hey, Rick, I just got off the phone with David Morgan. He's going to be joining us hour number 2 tomorrow. A friend of yours. I'm looking forward to that.
Good for you. Good for him. That's what I want to see. David Morgan, the Morgan Report. He's a really nice person. He drove all the way down from Spokane to spend several days here meeting me, getting to know each other.
Really, really nice guy. So I'm looking forward to talking with him tomorrow. Have you had a chance to view the Scotty Kilmer channel? It's an automotive channel on YouTube. The guy is absolutely hysterical. I got off the phone with him about an hour ago, and he's going to be joining us in a week or so. Rick, 170 million views on his YouTube channel. 170 million.
Wow.
Pretty popular guy. Pretty popular guy. Yep. He's hysterical. He's a lot of fun. He pokes fun at all kinds of idiotic designs that the auto manufacturers have made. Talks about how to repair your cars. Scotty Kilmer, Kilmer channel on YouTube. 170 million views. That's like half the population of the country. 170 million. And quite impressive. Good guy. So he'll be coming up in a couple of weeks or so. Rick, ozone and oxygen starvation. You've got that highlighted on your Facebook page. What's up with that?
Well, that's what cancer cannot exist in an oxygen-rich environment, and why we now have so many different forms of cancer in almost everyone. Body makes mistakes. That's a given thing. When you have cells reproducing several times a day in some parts of your body, there will be a mistake where an order or a thing from a gamma ray or whatever goes afoul, and the oxygen does not allow that mistake to magnetize or continue. And the problem is, tumors and things of that nature are because there is not enough oxygen in the body. Now, that's what your lungs do. There's many other ways to get oxygen in your body, including the foods that you eat. Polysaccharides are sugars that, when they break down, release oxygen. There's on a cellular level. So there's lots of different kinds of foods that we can eat and or breathe, but the air we're breathing and the foods we're eating are not appropriate for stopping these mistakes, and so it is now a serious problem. And obesity, that's just in the choices of our foods, and you'll notice that in Mexico, 3/4 of all population in Central and South America are now considered obese, not fat, obese. And in Oregon, in the state where I live, 1 in 4 people is considered obese. It varies from each state. It is rampant because of advertising and promotional gimmicks like Jay Leno on the Friday night, or he'll say, don't worry, we'll make more, on Doritos. It's our habits, it's our lifestyle, and it is our environment. And what is happening is that we are literally, most likely at the end of days.
Rick,
There'll be survivors. Man has always come through it, but like the Clovis culture that they just unearthed down in Popo, they had space flight. We have been here before, and they crawled out of a cave to become later. Did you read that article about North America having people living here 100,000 years ago? They've just shown that. It's something else is going on with media and are being told things because of marketing. This is the thing you started out with why are we no longer having wood shop in high school, and lifestyles are changing where they don't do what they used to. Why is that? It's, I think, our society is not evolving. It's devolving, and it has done it before in the past. The Cave of Dreams in France has bison on the wall, and the old anthropology used to say, well, that's cavemen. But in closer inspection, you'll notice that the dots around the eye constitute a star map. And if you go down in south of France, beyond the Cave of Dreams, there's another cave down there, and that star map is in reverse, meaning it was witnessed from space. We have been here, Vermana, different technologies. We have been here before. You don't hear much about Cleopatra going down the Mississippi River, but they're finding artifacts and Egyptian artifacts on the Mississippi and the Colorado River, with the Golden Buddha and the Museum of Artifacts where Egyptians were looking for copper. They will say it's the biggest gold mine in the world, and yet it was about the capstones for the pyramids. What do you think the pyramids are for? They were gates to enter into the 12 gates written about and described in the Bible. And before the Bible was the Cauldron Bible, and they talk about these kinds of things, and yet the Catholic Church burned the Jesuits at the stake for heretics when they started to talk about that and the control of one group managing the world over another. I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand what's going on a personal level, but I'm at war with something. I have no idea what it is. I can tell you that nothing we know is true. I don't know where this is all going. Oxygen is a typical situation where we never had cancers prior to our technologies that somehow have changed our diets and our atmosphere. What do you think the chemtrails are really about? I have photos of showing two chemtrails with discharge, an electrical discharge going between the two. They're making our atmosphere a conductor. For what purpose?
Now, Rick, mainstream media a couple weeks ago actually described how we will start modifying the atmosphere with chemicals like and metals like aluminum to reflect the sun's rays. They actually are saying it now.
That's not what it's doing. It's doing something else. To health, to everything, to the plants. Did you know that the sun right now is emitting 19% more gamma rays than ever in history, and why people are now losing their sight and cancer on skin? What would cause our sun to change? Another sun coming through our atmosphere. It's Stanford and several other universities. I can't even think of the one now that did it. Stanford and Caltech have come out and said there's a planet out near Uranus. Where did it come from, and what's that about? And it's affecting the orbits out there. It has affected the Earth's orbit. We're now a 3-degree orbit change, and the Inuit, who are 7,000 years of history, lineage to follow, has said it's happened before, and the heavens that they look at have changed. The Earth is changing, and it's because of the sun, and something is affecting the sun. And why is science not addressing that issue publicly?
Rick, I've been reading articles about the oxygen percentage in the air, and I don't have a good number, but I literally believe that the percentage of oxygen, I was told when I was in elementary school, it was 21%. 21% of our air is oxygen. The number's coming down. I know it's coming down. I also know that based on just something as simple as fuel consumption here on the farm, some summers that we used a lot more fuel. And the only thing I can think of is that at that time, the oxygen level was down for the tractors to combust the diesel. Now, I may be wrong, but that was what I figured.
That's an accurate metaphor. That is an accurate metaphor, yes.
Mm-hmm. And so I believe with all my being that oxygen levels are decreasing, and I see more and more people on rescue inhalers. You know, you go to the doctor's offices in Springfield, Missouri, and the clinics, and you see people on oxygen more than ever before. Now, some people may say, well, yeah, we're getting older.
Wheelchairs driving up and down the streets, all of it is different.
Right. Wheelchairs in stores. I'm seeing a couple things that are very concerning. One is the level of distraction. People are, we talked about the vehicles. Even in parking lots, people are parking their vehicles sideways. They're pulling into parking spaces, not straight. They're pulling into them any angle that they feel is okay with them. They are blocking traffic. When I was in Sam's Club a couple days ago, I couldn't believe it. These two women are talking, and they're in the supplement aisle. So they've got their carts, and they're facing each other, and they're literally blocking the entire aisle. Now, if they were polite and they moved over to one side, everybody else could get through. So because I was trained by one of these particular banks in customer service back in the 1980s, it took me about 2 seconds as I was approaching their carts, and they were just standing there looking at each other, talking, totally oblivious. I looked at them and I motioned with my hand, hey, move over. You're blocking traffic. You know, and I wasn't rude. I just kind of, motioned my hand, pull to the side. And like they did. But they didn't say, oh, I'm so sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was so preoccupied with my own greed that I didn't care about anybody else around me. They didn't say that, but they did move to the side. So, class, I think that's the answer. The answer is don't go around them. Go through them. Just pull right up to them. Say, hey, you're blocking traffic. Move out of the way. And I think if enough of us start doing that, maybe the message will be loud and clear. Doc Rams with us, Dr. Richard Allen Miller. Rick, we're talking about oxygen and the evidence that we've seen here at the farm that the oxygen levels are decreasing. And that's in the middle of nowhere. The oxygen levels are decreasing. We have trees, woods, grass, all kinds of greenery around.
That's how we used to talk about our lungs. The logging.
The lungs of the planet.
Your buzzsaw. Now, I'm going to say something that's really creepy. A thought occurred to me right now while I was on commercial that the movie, Jacob's Ladder, where the guy the movie starts off with the guy as a mailman 10 years after Vietnam on his way to work, and he thinks there's something wrong, and he can't put his finger on it. That's what I'm feeling like. I am missing something that is in front of me, and I can't quite see that I've been gored and I'm dying on an operating table in Vietnam. That is what it feels like. There's something going on that I can't quite understand. And if I can't understand it, this is all new ground for me. And I have been everywhere on this earth. I'm your Doctor Strange, and it's like that comic with Doctor Strange where Nightmare is able to get into his dream, and he can't tell whether he's in a dream or in reality when a car hits him.
Rick, I've got something tangentially to address this.
And
when we first started the broadcast today,
before you do this, how can the post office open a package of mine that's labeled book rate without some reason? Like your office.
That's a really good point.
And these are people I know and are my friends. I've known them 30 years.
Well, my son used to ship coins out of, he had a small business in Virginia, Commonwealth of Virginia, and we used this local USPS office, and about 10% of them went missing. And we absolutely positively believe that it was the postal employees who would say, oh, yeah, here's the package. They all come in these specific envelopes, and they look similar, and they're 5x7 or 4x6, and they're bubble pack, and they have this kind of labels on them, and there's always a coin in them, so that's a good thing. Let's go steal them. Yeah, those are friends. Those are friends that work for the post office and associates.
That is expected in Mexico or Vietnam, when you ship something to Mexico, but not our U.S. Postal Service. That's probably the only thing the United States ever did right. And and my postal friend would say, yeah, because we're not run by the U.S. government. However, what's happening today is that they are not replacing people that go on leave, quit, or are injured, and they have to leave. They are not allowed to replace them anymore, which means that all the postal people are being overworked right now. Instead of having 15 subs in our unit, they only have 5, where they always had 15, because the government is trying to privatize our postal service like DHL or FedEx. And they don't want, and right now I have to give points to the people, because when I go into the post office, everybody is in a good mood, even though they're overworked, and there are many customers that are really upset because they have long lines now rather than a quick service. I don't know what's going on, and I don't know why, and that's one of the things I'm going to have to do today, is go down to do some due diligence on why this is happening, and why when I enter a tracking number, it doesn't work as a widget on the internet right now. It says, whoops, we're temporarily down. How does that work with the U.S. Postal Service? Tracking. I don't understand what's going on. I am now realizing that when it leaves the United States and goes into someone else's hands, I'm going to have to start charging more money, because things are being pirated, lost, or otherwise mutilated and whatever. And I'm losing my business just being a writer.
Well, how about this, Rick?
A friend of mine that was here is a co-writer. He writes books also, and he has exactly the same problem I am. Why? The federal government is supposed to do intellectual property with the FBI, and the FBI wouldn't even talk to me about what was happening with Amazon and others pirating my books. It's okay, and now my lawyers are telling me to walk away from Amazon. It's not winnable. Why is that not true?
And Amazon's taken over. Yep.
Yeah, and Facebook,
we'll right back.
Whatever, their 10-year plan. Oh, yeah. There's something else going on here, and we are being distracted.
Doc Ram's with us, Dr. Richard Allen Miller. We're a little frustrated today, and we're kind of venting. So, Rick, here's a little bit more of my frustration.
That's what I
no whining. But I've got that, I've got that sign right next to me in the studio. It says no whining, and it was from our class, our 6th grade class.
I have one
Ryan.
that shows a whole bunch of dogs howling to the moon, and it says no whining.
That's from Grace Thorne's 6th grade class in Ryan, Oklahoma. And ours are signed on the backs by the students who participated in USA Prepares. Boy, what a great time we had.
Also, that was a special on my wall plaque, and a time that was different than now. What is going on, and why? Is it me just seeing things differently, like the glass is now half empty as opposed to half full?
Let me share an observation with you that I've made, Rick. So Bruce Kay, he's an electrical engineer. He's a USA Prepares instructor. He and I have gotten together, and we've collaborated on solar designs and the best way to go. And we've engineered our systems slightly differently, but many of the components are the same. And so here we're in this race. And he's a farmer and an engineer, and I'm a farmer. And so we are building these solar arrays and racks and battery banks and so forth. And we're going to share this with our class. We have something that actually is fully implemented. It's partially implemented, as I've mentioned. But so I'm building the rack out of used materials. I went to a guy a wonderful man in Lebanon, Missouri, outside of Lebanon. He sells used shelving, industrial quality shelving, the kind of stuff that you would see at Lowe's or Home Depot that hold up the lumber racks, 4x8 sheets of plywood, those kind of metal racks. That's what I bought. And I bought enough that I can cut and weld and build this solar frame for the solar panels. And I'm looking on the internet for weeks, trying to find a design that's better than I've come up with. Now, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. That is not the point. What I'm trying to say is there are a whole bunch of really smart people out there who post images on the internet that should be really, really clever. I can't find anything. I can't find a single image that I'm looking at where I'm saying, you know what, that's a much better way to go. Actually, that's even 10% better. What I'm finding, Rick, is there's not a single design that anyone has posted on the internet that I can find that is better than I, as a farmer, have come up with myself. I am not an engineer. I certainly have taken some advanced math courses, and I can figure this out, and I can put a piece of paper and a pencil in front of me and draw some pictures, and I've done that. However, I can't find any designs that are better. And I literally, please, class, do not take this as...
I had an explanation for that. 20 years ago, I used to say that a farmer is like a physicist and has to be a polymath because they are experts in animal husbandry, seed selection, da-da-da-da-da, and welding. That means they weren't skilled in one area. They had to run a farm. The farmer had to be multi-skilled.
Okay, but
technology and that concept has been lost.
That's very kind of you to say that, Rick. But what I'm trying to say is, where are these great designs that I can't find? I don't think they're there. I don't
purposely oriented our culture to be single. That it is required that you have to have skills from other people, not you, in order to complete the job. I'm finding that right now with internet. I have never had a problem doing web design, and yet now I can't quite understand something that I am not. I don't have the time. It isn't like I can't understand it. I just can't be an expert in everything, and yet I must, in order to survive my current situation. It's crazy.
What I'm finding is that there is an absence of innovation in this country.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's really got me frustrated.
It comes out of, having a take on something and how you take it differently. The thing I'm realizing now is even my own thoughts are not original. But it's like a Nobel Prize. When someone makes a discovery, it usually is archetypal, and there's someone across the globe that came up with the idea at the very same moment you did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they share the Nobel Prize. It's archetypal. But that concept is what makes us human and why there's something else going on out there.
I got a very disturbing, I was in a very disturbing chat in the last couple of weeks. I was talking with one of our instructors, and it's disturbing because of the attitude, I think, of some of the people who could have participated in this. Let me tell you what it is. So I was not involved firsthand, but I know the players. I know the firsthand the players who were involved. They've been to the meetups. I've sat down at a booth with them at a restaurant, and we've chatted. One of them is one of our instructors. And we were talking about an offer that a farmer made. And I know the farmer. And the farmer's offer was simply this. Things could get lousy. Things could get bad. Supply chain could be disrupted. Some people live in apartments. Some people live in single-family homes without much space. So for those who live where they can't plant gardens, here's the offer. If you'd like to come to the farm, plant your garden, you may do so. You may cultivate it, you may plant, and it's yours to use. You can't have the land, but you can use it. That will get you started, and should things get worse over time and you need to leave that apartment, leave that location that may be overrun in the city and come out to the farm, there's a place here for you. I'm not talking about my place, I'm talking about this other farmers. So the offer is you can learn, you can train, you can try, you can use, no cost. Just try it. See if you think it makes sense. And if things get bad, you know where we are, you know where the place is, and just show up and continue and contribute your labor, your effort. We all work together on the farm, and that was the plan. That was the plan. No one took him up on it. No one. Not one individual said, you know what, that's pretty nice of you to let me go dig in your garden or make a garden on your farm and have access to your farm and And what would you call this? The word that I used when I was so frustrated on the phone with our instructor, not with our instructor, but at the situation. Yeah. I would call it insurance. I would say, you're willing to pay auto insurance, you're willing to pay homeowners insurance, you're willing to pay renters insurance, you're willing to pay health insurance, you're willing to pay all these kinds of insurance, but you won't insure your own security, not you, but I'm talking about these people, by going to a farm and working with a farmer. I don't get it. Honestly, I don't get it. Is there this new euphoria that Donald Trump has magically fixed everything? Is that what it is?
Everybody wants to have ownership, and they forget that it is a community shared garden. It's not your garden over someone else's garden. And that's where the concept is being contaminated. Sharecropping. That's the term we used, where I don't have the machinery, but I have the crop. Mm-hmm. It's like having a combine. And now, that's another post I put on yesterday, where John Deere, others, have so found a loophole that you are not allowed to fix your own tractor anymore.
You're talking about because of the copyright?
Of taking and limiting skills, so that it's a requirement that you must have an engineer and a lawyer to do something.
All right, let me put an exclamation point on that. Our son is a university graduate, and you know him, and he studied and majored in agriculture. Very few people want to become a degreed farmer, okay? But that's what our son is. He's a degreed farmer. And that's what he wants to do. He wants to do a really good job raising animals and being the best farmer he can be. So he attends some seminars that he thinks are germane to farming, that he thinks are worth his time. And so he went to this seminar, and there was a presentation by a John Deere employee or a representative of John Deere. And when our son came back, he and I were sitting at the kitchen table with Mrs. Finelli, and we were talking about this. He said, "Dad, you're not going to believe this. The guy who was doing this presentation said, we are, meaning we, John Deere, we are not an iron company. We are not in the business of making machinery. We are in the technology business." I was absolutely floored by that. They're in the technology business. And I've got some green and yellow painted implements here at the farm. Got a front end loader that goes on a tractor. I've got some John Deere tractors that are green and yellow. And I'll tell you this, based on the statement that we are a technology company and we are not going to let you work on the transmission of your John Deere tractor because it's got a computer program in it, I'm not buying anything John Deere again. The only thing that I might buy, because they've got a gun to my head, might be some John Deere parts to keep our equipment running. Other than that, I'm not interested in doing business with John Deere. I'm not. Just because of that. Rick, who do these people think they are? Telling us that they either overtly or selling us equipment and not telling us until after the fact that they are going to hold us hostage to whatever they feel like charging us per hour plus mileage to get to our farm, to put that USB cable in that tractor to reset, or whatever proprietary connector they have to reset or reprogram or fix mistakes that are in software in the equipment. Who are they to tell us that they're going to hold us hostage?
Isn't it weird what's happening to our world? And
I'm not going to put up with it.
There's something wrong here.
I'm not putting up with it.
I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. Something's wrong.
Well, it's like the government demanding that you will buy Obama shaft insurance, or we will fine you. You will be our customer, or we will fine you. That's the attitude now. That really is, and it's unacceptable, and we need to resist it. And I'll tell you how when we come back. So, class, here's the answer. When I go into a Walmart, which I don't like doing, and I see one of those guys in the meat department with the white coats on, like he would be acting like he's a butcher, okay? But he's not. He's just a meat guy. I'll say to him, "You guys still putting that pink slime in your meat? You guys still do that?" Loud enough for everybody around me to hear, in case the guy's hard of hearing. And sometimes they go, what are you talking about? And then I'll explain to them, pink slime, connective tissue, that filler stuff. You still doing that? And I'm waking people up. Now, how does that apply to John Deere? So if you're a farmer, you go into the John Deere dealer and you say, listen, that tractor, I can't work on it, right? Is that true? Tell you what, since you won't let me work on my tractor that I thought I owned, I am just going to stop paying for it. I'm not going to pay for it. I'll get some other tractor. I'll get a used tractor. But I'm not getting it from you because you duped me. So I think the answer is to make some noise at the John Deere dealerships and let them know that you're not going to put up with this. Here's an example. I bought a hydraulic cylinder kit because we had a failure on our hay baler. It started leaking all over. So I bought the kit. Proprietary. Had to get it from John Deere. I got the kit, and I decided, you know what? I might make a mistake. Maybe I ought to have them do it. So I said, what do you guys charge to rebuild it? $85, fixed price. It's okay. Can you do it while I wait? Sure. So they worked on it, and they said, hour went by, hour and a half went by. So what's going on? I said, well, it won't be ready till tomorrow. So what are you talking about? Well, we're welding it. What do you mean you're welding it? You just unscrew the gland nut, and you put the seals in, and you put it back together. Well, it has a little crack in it. Why does it have a crack in it? Well, the guy that worked on it put a crack in it. Wait a minute. You're telling me that you cracked my cylinder? Well, it'll be ready tomorrow. I was so outraged that they were going to cover up the fact that they cracked my hydraulic cylinder. They were going to glue it back together with JB Weld, not tell me that I demanded to talk to the manager. And I said, I thought this was John Deere. I thought maybe if you guys damaged my part, you'd say, I'm so sorry. Would it be okay if I ordered a new one for you if we don't have one? Or can I give you a new one? Would it be okay, Mr. Finelli, if we put you back in the place you were before we damaged your part that we didn't tell you about? Would that be okay? Ultimately, they gave me a new part. Ultimately. So, class, you don't have to put up with this stuff. And John Deere I think John Deere's turning against the farmer. At least that's my opinion. And I won't buy any new John Deere anything because of it. Rick, do you think that this is a strategy that might have some impact or not?
Stay tuned. Film at 11. Yeah. I don't know. I've been complaining, and all it seems to do for me is get it worse for me.
Yeah.
That's what I observed. I don't know.
Rick, tell us about color perception. Is it changing?
Well, the light is going to require you to wear special glasses outside in the sunlight. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's because the wavelengths are changing?
Or changing. Why?
Okay. Well, I'm finding
20%.
I'm finding out what you're saying is absolutely true. Absolutely true. I need to wear sunglasses more than ever before.
It's not sunglasses that you need to wear. It is frequency bands that you need to screen. They're damaging your eye, and you can't see it, like those halogen lamps that come down the road with new automobiles that hurt your eyes. Or the police that use those red and black flashers that are so damaging you can't look at them. They hurt.
You can't see anything else.
That's the deal.
The blinding.
The bigger the cojones, the bigger the light. It's crazy. And something is wrong.
Yeah, and we can fix it by disbanding the police departments. I'm all for it. Disband the police departments. Start with the chief and work your way down. And you can do it all in one fell swoop.
Police. Good luck with that, Vincent.
You're talking about,
Yeah, I am. I'm talking about you specifically and your police. Creepy.
They hate me.
I'm not kidding.
They hate me.
They came with an NRAP to my workshop? Why? What am I doing?
Little weenies. That's what they are, little weenies.
Vincent. Something is wrong here.
You're absolutely right. Hey, Rick, thanks so much for being with us. Class above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next?